I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between, using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go. Here we are.
Yep, here we is. Aren't you proud of me? I still have my braids in.
I have been staring at them literally this entire time. They still look amazing. They held up well.
I actually like that they're looser now, so kind of feel a little more chill.
Yeah, I was debating in my mind. I was like, how long is Kimberly going to go before she wants to take them out?
Actually, they're very comfortable right now. I think that these ones it's human hair, so they're soft, so some of them have slid on out. Wake up with a braid on the pillow. I'm like, well, hello there.
That is actually one of my worst fears is like, if you're like in a pool or like somewhere public and then you realize like one of your braids is like floating.
Girl, please. The Dominican Republic was left with a few of these braids. I did not leave them in the ocean to harm, a sea turtle or animal, but yeah.
Amazing.
I got on a water slide, and when I got on the water, that's really what got me. I was riding all these water slides with the kids, and
wow.
I was like, you know what? Water slides and these braids are not a good mix. But it's all good.
Yeah, you live, you learn.
We do.
Cool. Well, how are you feeling today? I know you got flights to catch here soon, so.
I do have a flight to catch. Shout out to Duke University, where I'm going for the McGovern lectureship in a couple of hours. Well, I should be, the day that this comes out, I will be giving that lecture. So yay. I think I'm like a 4.9.
Oh, okay.
Just about a 5, man.
Yeah.
I had a lot of moving parts this morning, all of which came together. Went over to Grady, did some teaching, got back in time to meet with you as promised. So I'm happy about that. But you know what? I want to share something that I did yesterday that I love. Have you ever done 55 word stories?
No, tell me.
Oh my God, it's so awesome. So for people who like narrative medicine and all forms of narrative, which we do, my colleague, her name is Hughes Evans. She's a pediatrician about to retire at Emory. And Hughes taught us about this thing called the 55 word story, where you get with our learners and give a topic of some sort or talk about something, and they have to tell a story in only 55 words. Okay. So I give everybody like you can use your phone, you can use your computer, you can write on a piece of paper, you can write a 55 word story. Then everybody reads back their 55 word story. Okay. And you read it. And after you read it, you pause and then you read it again. Okay. The whole exercise is very quick.
Yeah.
Okay? But after that, after everybody's read once, you then give people 2 minutes to distill their story down into 6 words.
Okay.
So the 55 word story becomes a 6-word story. Read it, and then you read it again. And what it does is it really leads to some deep reflection. So since I'm talking to you, I'm going to share my 55 word story.
Yes, please.
And my 6-word distillation.
Okay.
I was with my small group of students, by the way, my M3 advisees, and I was doing this as a part of our processing group. They're all on their clerkships now. And the theme was gratitude. And I was like, we're thinking about why we're doctors, what it means, where we are in our careers and space and time. So this is what I wrote. I went on a walk with Lauren through my neighborhood. I listened to Lauren as she shared about school, about life. 2 Black women strolling up Lowwater, a street we couldn't even walk or live on before. But now it's where I live. Me, an older sister doctor, and her, an emerging one. Yeah. Then I read it a second time for them to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a walk with Lauren through my neighborhood. I listened to Lauren as she shared about school, about life. Two black women strolling up Lowwater, a street we couldn't even walk or live on before. But now it's where I live. Me, an older sister doctor, and her, an emerging one. Yeah. And my 6 words is, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Ooh, say that.
Yeah. That is
Mm,
such a dope exercise. And my students all wrote beautiful things about all kinds of different things.
wow.
But if you ever want to do some form of appreciative inquiry, but something to lead to some deeper reflection, that because the paucity of words,
Hmm.
it forces you to really decide what you want to say.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I'm gonna have to practice that for real.
Please do. And
Yeah.
I have to look up where, like, who came up with it. I mean, Hughes taught me about it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody done wrote a paper about it. And whoever you are, shout out to you. This is your second.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I mean, reading that just brought me to a 5. I'm happy.
Oh, I love it. Man.
What about you? How are you today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I think I'm somewhere around a 4.6 or 4.7.
Okay.
I'm not getting on a plane in a couple hours, but I am actually going to Hawaii tomorrow to see the BFF.
Shout out to Amanda.
Shout out to Amanda. This is also a great time to let y'all know that next week will be a bye week for that reason.
Okay, thank you for letting me know too.
Yes. But, speaking of ancestors and appreciation, one of the most important things I did in the last few days actually happened on Saturday. I had a really great conversation with my grandmother's oldest brother.
Mm,
He is 84. This is my maternal grandmother's brother who's still alive and living in Chicago. I had been wanting to talk to him for a while. It's not someone that I had interacted with much growing up. And I think similar to my grandmother, a lot of folks in that generation have not, always been able to kind of be expressive about, stories and, things that they experienced growing up. But I, took a chance to reach out to my is it great uncle, granduncle?
your grandmother's brother?
Yeah,
Your great uncle.
great uncle, just to see if he'd, be open to talking about some things. And we talked for like an hour and a half. It's the longest conversation I've ever had with him in my entire life.
Wow. Wow.
And it was really powerful to understand a little bit more of this legacy that I hold and the sheer, not just beauty, but just like awe that comes with recognizing, you're not that far off from those types of experiences that would have made the life that I live now completely unthinkable.
Mm.
So I'm here for that.
We are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Yes, yes, we are.
Well, kings, queens, and non-binary royalty. Y'all, today is a lovely, lovely day for you because the 4.6 getting ready to go to Hawaii. Ashley McMullen will be telling you the story today.
Mm-hmm.
And with that elaborate run-up, Dr. McMullen, what is the what?
Um, the what is teachable.
Okay, I like it. We've never used that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was.
I think we have it.
I know it was a little anxiety inducing, but to be fair, it's a bit of a play on a previous word that we have used, which is stoppable. So,
Okay.
being stoppable, this is about being teachable.
Okay, here for it.
Yeah. I have a group of medical students like you that I coach throughout their 4 years. And they're all now on their clerkship rotations for the first time. One of the things that I tell them before they start is be teachable, especially on the rotations that you think that you don't want to be at. And I always share that because probably the most formative experience as a medical student that I had was actually my surgery rotation.
Okay.
And I knew from the jump that surgery was not the career for me. This was kind of midway through my third year. I had a couple other clerkships under my belt, and I think I was gearing up for internal medicine, which I knew was probably going to be my specialty, but had to get through surgery first. What was fun is that I had another group of medical students. There were probably 5 of us that went through the rotation together, and none of us were interested in surgery.
Okay.
So we strategized for how we were going to get through this. And because of the environment for that particular rotation at that institution, nobody was really looking for the medical students, so to speak. We
Okay.
figured if one of us was visible and present, they wouldn't look for the rest of us. So we were just like, all right, you're going to take this day, you're going to take this day. The rest of us are going to like find a place to hide. And the strategy worked. So I was first up on day 1. It was a 2-month rotation. The first month is general surgery, and the second month is a specialty surgery. Our general surgery experience, just to kind of paint the scene, the residents at that time were predominantly white men. There were a few exceptions to that, but just at that time, that's kind of what the vibe was. They all wore cowboy boots with their scrubs. Yeah, that was a thing. And it was a bit of a fraternal like energy there, a little cavalier, so to speak. And so it was all kind of reinforcing what I had already decided, which is like, I don't need to be here. This is not my thing. The first surgery that I scrubbed into was a Whipple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is
Long.
a very long surgery, like hours. It's usually a surgery that's designed to remove a pancreatic mass, and it involves like a very complicated rerouting of the pancreas, gallbladder, and parts of the intestine. So my first day there, I'm on my feet for hours, standing still, getting quizzed on the anatomy. And to be fair, like it was unique and interesting. It was my first surgery. I learned quite a bit. It was a great experience, and one that I was happy to never do again. So, we got through general surgery, and then we moved on to cardiothoracic surgery, where the operations were even longer. So what was interesting about, that environment, again, at the institution where I trained for medical school, was that the Heart Institute, or the place where they did these surgeries, was, it was like the Gilded Tower. The attending surgeons within that space were pretty much gods, because they were bringing in so much money.
Yeah.
And they did incredible work, let's be real, literally saving lives, in a super skilled specialty. But, with a lot of power comes some interesting personalities. And, again, as a medical student in that space, you're just trying to get through without ruffling too many feathers. So we had our same strategy, one student, one surgery, the rest of us, get to run off. But that was actually the space that really humbled me in terms of being teachable. We had to be in the classroom for teaching at 6 a.m., which meant that, you had to be there early enough to get all of your like pre-rounding and stuff done before teaching. So those were some early mornings and long days. The surgeon, who I will never forget, his name is Dr. Eisenberg, he had a reputation for some abrasive behavior, but he showed up every morning at 6 a.m. and gave some of the best lectures on cardiac physiology that I've like ever heard to this day. And did so with intention, and like made sure that we all understood. There was part of me that was kind of like, frustrated with having to like be there that early to learn, but it didn't take long to appreciate like, this is a skill set and a type of teaching that I might never experience again. And this person is showing up early to make sure that we did it. And like, people in academic medicine don't necessarily get paid or appreciated for teaching. It's a lot of times folks doing that because it's something that they're passionate about and want to do. And that's what this surgeon did. So on top of that, I'm getting to scrub in on these open heart surgeries, like literally watching cardiac physiology take place in front of my eyes, which, no lecture on the Starling curve will ever touch what it means to actually see a beating heart in someone's body. And so I'll bring you into one formative experience that I'll never forget. So, on one of my days to be the student to scrub in, I'm a little hazy on the memory, but I think it was like very early that morning. One of the first surgeries on the board was a coronary artery bypass graft, which was several hours long, a lot of retracting. I had learned how to find that balance between staying hydrated and not needing to pee so that I could stand still for that long and not be in the way. I had actually met the patient beforehand and his wife, and then just seeing the surgery take place. And then, they staple up the chest with the sternotomy wires and bring the patient back up. And so later on in that day, I was actually scrubbed into another surgery, a shorter surgery. And that surgery ended, and I had still had my sterile gown and everything on, just so I could help the scrub nurses kind of, get the room prepared for the next case. As we're doing that, I hear all this crazy commotion and yelling, like coming from outside the OR. And I could see, like, out of the big windows that it was actually the patient that I had scrubbed in with beforehand, the earlier Cabbage. He was a couple floors up, like in his room. And I think what happened is that that patient coded.
Mm.
And, because he just had surgery, they couldn't do compressions.
Impressions.
So they had to reopen his chest on the floor.
Ooh.
And someone was actually manually like squeezing his
Cardiac.
heart,
Oh.
cardiac massage. So this is literally like Grey's Anatomy style drama happening right outside the OR. And they're rushing the guy back downstairs, like into the OR. Like they burst through the door. Someone's got his hand on the heart. The surgeon who I was with at that time, who had wrapped up the other case, was just standing there calmly, like, this is like another day in the life as this patient is being wheeled in. He calls for a syringe full of epinephrine, and he's injecting epi directly into the heart, like
Ooh.
one ampule after another.
Ooh.
And finally, the heart starts beating again. But, having, done all these injections, the heart literally like sprung a leak. So now there's blood like squirting up from the heart. And I'm sitting there scrubbed in, just like watching all of this unfold. And the surgeon, he's looking around the room and his eyes settle on me. And he's like, "Hey, you." He's like, "Do you want to do something cool?" And I was just like, "Yes," because what else do you say in that moment? He was like, "Can you come just put your hand on this heart and plug this leak while I get scrubbed in?" Yes, I can do that. I'm the only one who's still like in sterile dress.
Oh my gosh.
He still has to like get changed and everything. So I find myself in this OR with this man who I was talking to like 12 hours before, with my hand on his literal heart, trying to apply pressure from the leak that has sprung in his myocardium.
Wow.
And then I got to be present as they, repaired the graft and reclosed his chest. And that was it.
And he lived to tell.
And he lived to tell.
Dang.
That same day, after all of that, I went to my little med school apartment and changed clothes and showered. And I actually met my family that evening, who were, down in Clear Lake, which is, 20-minute drive from the medical center. I think it was someone's birthday or something. I'm not sure, but we had like a big family dinner at some restaurant. I was like, "So what did you do today?" So, all that suffice to say, this journey goes by very quickly.
Yeah.
And some of the most important lessons will be in the places that you least expect, or the places that you feel like, you don't necessarily need to pay attention or have anything to learn. I will probably never in my life have an experience like that ever again. The enormity of what you get to do and experience in this profession, whether you are a cardiovascular surgeon or a palliative care physician, this is incredible work, even and especially when it feels hard.
I love that. And being teachable
Mhm.
and open is a way to honor our patients, right? I mean, and just honor anybody that we're interacting with. Because I definitely remember times in medical school where I was just like, I don't really need to know this.
Mhm.
It's not my thing. And I remember very early on in medical school, somebody telling me that there's something on every single rotation that you will be a better physician at whatever you choose to do because you were on that rotation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with the specialty. And I think that's true. Like I remember being like not that jazzed about doing psychiatry, but it's so important to what I do every day now.
Hmm.
I think about how much we were needed on surgery and how that taught me efficiency. It's just all these different things that I've thought about. I'm like, oh wow, you know what? Yeah, I needed that.
Yeah. It requires the intention to be
Yep.
open, like you're saying. And, I think particularly in, even in the primary care, like clinical space, patients are just coming in to, give me to fill out a form or some sort of paperwork. But opening an opportunity to kind of have a lens into their lives. Like, what does it mean to really be woefully dependent on a disability check?
Yeah,
And the only thing between you and that check is, my signature. Like,
correct.
what kind of power is that?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to learn each day if you're open to it.
The older you get in medicine, it's funny that like it goes kind of full circle. It's kind of like how the extremes of age have similarities, right? How like the baby and the very, very advanced elder has a lot in common. I think for me, my infancy in medical school and medical education, when I would learn something new, I just remember like, wow. And I'm at a point now where I've just seen so much
Mm,
that when somebody teaches me something and I did not know it at all, I'm like, wow. I feel like that medical student all over again.
yeah.
Yeah. And now a lot of times the people that are teaching me are learners. They're like,
Hmm.
Dr. Manning, you didn't know that? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Never heard
Yes.
that.
Yeah. No, there's no more deeply humbling experience than being a teacher
For
to early
sure.
learners.
For sure. But, no matter what it is in your life, having this idea that every situation and every person has something they could teach you, I think that's a really important take home. Like sometimes my kids will be telling me about something and I'll sort of know about it, or they'll be telling me about something that I'm not particularly interested in.
Mm.
That's probably what I should put a pin in because, like, Zach is a real big fan of graphic novels and anime and all that stuff. And he's reading this really long graphic novel right now. And like a lot of times over breakfast, he'll want to talk about it. And I have I have made myself like, this is what's interesting to him. What is he learning? What is he hearing? What's the storyline? And basically, a story is a story is a story.
Mm.
It's joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. It's falling in love. It's broken hearts. It's, life, it's death. It's all these things. And even if it's an anime graphic novel, it's
Mm.
all those things. And I've now found myself in a space where I kind of look forward to hearing him tell me about, oh, I'm on chapter 400 and whatever. And I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, invested now.
He
Gotta.
gets all hyped telling me, and now I've built the muscle of showing interest in
Mm.
graphic novels.
I realize it's probably an underappreciated talent of many parents, having to figure out how to engage yourself in the interest of your children.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not any different than a lot of our interactions, though.
Hmm.
In some of the like community service organizations I'm in, where I work with teens, I've come to learn that teens, young people, a lot of people, they people get used to people in authority talking at them and not talking to them and
Yeah.
engaging them and listening to them.
Hmm.
And I have learned that that establishes trust a lot better and it just makes for things to be a lot more interesting. And you can just learn a lot,
Yeah.
you just learn a lot. So I do think at first I would try to do that just because I thought it was the right thing to do. But now I realize there's really something in it for me to engage and listen and see what you have to say.
I love that.
Nobody
Well,
asked me to stick my finger in the hole of a heart, but
not yet.
I actually hope that does not happen to me. Because if I'm somewhere where I need to do that, that's a problem. Yes, indeed.
Oh man.
Um,
Well, I have to admit I'm a little jealous of the folks at Duke who are gonna be able to hear and learn from you very soon.
yeah. Shout out to anybody who invites somebody to come and share their thoughts and their work.
Mhm.
That is not lost on me. And I mean, shout out to people being teachable, man, because when you do like narrative medicine and talk about humanism, that's a little off the beaten path of what a lot of these places like
Mhm.
Duke and Emory and UT Southwestern and University of Washington and Harvard and all these places are used to. But if you're teachable, like that person taught me years ago, it will lend itself to whatever it is you're doing. There's something I'm going to tell you that will make you a better whatever you are
Mm.
if you're open.
Yeah.
At least I think so. I hope so.
Well, I agree. So that makes two of us.
Yay. Well, I can't be missing my flight because
I
your
know.
girl has missed a
You
flight before.
exactly. You like to play it close.
Yeah,
So
but I'm not looking to do that right now. So, y'all, we look forward to chilling with y'all in Hollywood, Florida this May for the Society of General Internal Medicine National Meeting, where the theme is from ideas to action,
mm,
catalyzing change in academic general internal medicine. And we, are proud to be change agents. So come and check out your girls. We're going to be recording live on that Thursday and also just there getting our learn on with the rest of the teachable folks.
exactly.
Yeah. So peace out, kings, queens, and non-binary royalty. And I love you, Ashley McMullen.
I love you too, sis. And we will see y'all not next week, but the week after, because I got to go on vacation.
That's right. And shout out to Amanda.
Shout out to Amanda.
All right. Bye.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!